So I say this in the nicest possible way. That was quite easily the stupidest session of D&D that I have ever played or seen. And yes, I did say stupidest. It's not even a word. I know. That's the level of stupidity that we're talking about here. Now, don't get me wrong. The stupid was not with the DM. He's great as always. It wasn't necessarily with the book, although there were some pretty questionable moments there as well. No. This stupid was all us. And you know what's really crazy? It might also be the session with some of the best plays that I've ever made. So not only was it the stupidest session ever, but it was also the most genius, and I would not change a thing. Clear? So, the session started, if you recall, at the end of the last session, we were in a room with 4 Nothics, and they had just attacked us, and we immediately rolled initiative at the start of the session. And from the off, that combat went badly. The way that it was set up is these Nothics, they weren't really intimidated by big, strong, tough things because they are big, strong, tough things themselves. What intimidated them and what scared them was magic. And all 3 of us in the party, we didn't really want to have a fight, so we all 3 of us took a turn at trying to intimidate these creatures or trying to reason with these creatures and avoid the fight. They weren't really having any of it because ultimately all 3 of us in the party were big, strong, tough dudes, right? I'm a ranger, we had a barbarian slash fighter. And so the only person in the party with any sort of magic was me. And so I only had 2 spell slots left, so I'm immediately using them, trying to impress these creatures, trying to intimidate them a little bit. The DM was nice, he said that I intimidated them enough. But unfortunately for the other 2 people in the party, things weren't going so well for them. So one of our party members, Kronos, the brain-dead Goliath, who you will recall right now looks like a moderately attractive human male with skeleton hands, he rolled high enough on his perception that he was able to hear a sound, someone speaking to him, but he wasn't rolling high enough on his insight to know what that was about. So as far as he's concerned, just he heard some random voice in his head. No idea what that's about. Who knows? There is a door in the room, so he spends most of his turns trying to bash his way through this magically locked door. The other member of our party, Tarmin, unfortunately, he gets knocked unconscious quite early on in the fight. And he's rolling death saves, and he's rolling them openly, and he's rolling them badly. He's down onto 2 failed saves, and I'll be honest with you, there was a moment in that combat where I was on half hit points. We weren't doing well. I'd used all my magic slots, and I was seriously considering cutting and running, because even if we defeated these monsters, I knew that there's a door right there that we can't even get through. So what's even the point in having this encounter? Let's back out. Let's restore our hit points. Let's regroup and come back again another time. So there was this moment in my mind where I'm like, it's one of those calculations you have to do in D&D quite a lot, where you're kind of thinking about, well, there's 4 of them. They get 2 attacks each, so that's 8 attacks per turn. There's 2 of us left standing. We get 2 attacks per turn. It's one of those action economy things. I did decide to power on through. I took down 2 of them, and then basically the DM just let us have it and said that they were intimidated enough that the combat stopped. We've not got to the stupid part yet, by the way. So the guy that was down on the floor, unfortunately, he was no longer for this world. He failed his 4th death save, and that was bye Tarmin, which was quite sad. So I had a bit of a roleplay moment where I kind of buried him, or piled rocks on top of him because you can't really bury someone in a dungeon. And I made the mark of Bahamut, which was his god, and I prayed to Bahamut and said, this one's for you now. So there was some nice character stuff there. And after this, we'd obviously intimidated these Nothics enough that they were now kind of talking to us as well. They were able to tell us a little bit about the situation we were in. We learned that there were drow nearby. We learned that there were giant spiders nearby. All of this stuff is wonderful. However, doesn't help us get through that door. The only thing to get through that door is something magical, which we didn't have. Unbeknownst to us, within this room, Lantix, the cowardly wizard who ran away a couple of sessions ago, he was actually invisible and hiding in the room. That was actually the sound that Kronos heard. And had we realized this fact, had we just talked together a little bit and just used our brains and realized, Lantix is here, maybe then we could have got through this door. But we didn't do that. But no, that's still not the stupid part of the session. No, we didn't realize that he was there because, unfortunately, insight is not Kronos's strongest skill. Kronos does, however, canonically now have a cup holder in his head. Turns out he was dropped on his head as a child, which is why he's so stupid. And he uses the indent in his skull to store drinks. So there we go. So anyway, at this point, we knew that we would have to double back and go another way. The question is, which way do we go? Obviously, we knew that there was a wall of bodies that had been piled there, and presumably the tunnel continued this way as well. And we also knew if we went all the way back to the Goblin Market, there was a crossroads there. So I was like, well, I don't think we should really go all the way back to the Goblin Market to this crossroads because, well, the rumor has it that we heard it's full of bugbears, and we know that bugbears basically are intellect devourers. That doesn't seem like a good place to go. So let's stick on this path. We can't go this way, so we'll go this other way instead. So we went that way, and we ended up in a room. First of all, we encountered the next member of our party, and this was a druid. He was a hobgoblin druid. And just to mix things up a bit, because my character's a bit grumpy, and I felt he'd been a bit too nice to the last couple of characters we had, I decided to play him as a bit distrustful of this hobgoblin. It checks out. Hobgoblins are a monstrous race, and so Gorn was very distrustful of why is there this hobgoblin down here? We've seen a lot of bugbears, we've seen a lot of goblins, now there's a hobgoblin, there was a wall of dead hobgoblin bodies. Kind of checks out that I would be suspicious. So there we go, that's what we were doing. So we met this guy. He was a druid, a moon druid. And obviously, because he's a brand new character, he has all his spell slots and all his HP, so he's feeling, just lovely. Meanwhile, we are limping along. So we go back this other way, and we enter a chamber which has 3 gibbering mouthers in it. I want to get to the other side of the chamber because there's a door, but I would have to go past these gibbering mouthers, and I know from the previous combat that I had with them, it's a very bad idea to get close to these gibbering mouthers. They're not very good from a range, but up close, the terrain is difficult around them, and they can kind of make your brain a bit funny. So I was like, that's not a good idea. Our druid, on the other hand, our fresh-faced, full spell slot druid, he's like, screw it, we'll just go this way. And he just engages the 3 gibbering mouthers, as does Kronos, but of course that's the case. He plays with everything that we encounter. So they're going at it, and in the first round of combat, they both get, hang on, I need to remember the actual phrase now, blinding spittle, which is exactly as horrible as it sounds, and they fail the death. So they fail the saving throws on that, so they're blind, both of them. And then immediately after that, Kronos fails his wisdom save against the gibbering nonsense in his head. The druid passed it, because of course wisdom, druids are pretty good at that. But no, Kronos failed. And it's not an exaggeration to say that for the rest of the battle, he did nothing. He failed that death save about, I'd say, a good 8 or 9 times in a row. Every go. No, failed that. No, failed that. What happens? Oh, I miss a turn. What happens? Oh, I miss a turn. I'm not even joking when I say he's just standing there, like, drooling out the side of his mouth. Like, seriously. I mean, I've said in other videos how I feel about taking away player action economy. My feelings on that haven't changed. I think if I were in Kronos's position, I would have been feeling really annoyed. Luckily for me, I wasn't in his position because I was standing way back at the back of the room and I was firing with my bow. I'm not the best with my bow. I'm not that type of ranger, but I had a bow and I was firing, and I carried that combat. I had 2 natural 20s in the course of the combat. I took down 2 of the 3 gibbering mouthers, and the one that I didn't take down was only because Kronos got back his wits in the final round of combat and took that one down. You'll notice that I haven't really mentioned the Moon Druid, and I haven't even mentioned the Moon Druid's name. Well, it's because I didn't even write the thing down. The Moon Druid, right, cast a spell, transformed into a bear, failed his saving throw, so then he can't do anything, and then got knocked unconscious. And he is surrounded by 3 gibbering mouthers, and he got killed. Outright killed after about 3 rounds of combat. In game, we'd known this guy about 10 minutes. So that was the second death of the evening for the same player character, and we're not even 1 hour into the session. And then, do you know what the really frustrating part is? Because after we killed those gibbering mouthers and we carried on through to the other side of the chamber, do you know where we ended up? Exactly where we were before. It was a great big circle. At this point, having exhausted that avenue, we realised, well, now we need to go back to the goblin market, and we realised we're going to have to find a way to get through this locked door. We're going to need something that allows us to open that, like a spell scroll of knock, for example, something like this. So the DM at this point, I think he was feeling sorry for us because he was just throwing us bones everywhere. He just basically freely told us that information. You need to go and get spell scroll of knock. Okay, great. We went back to the goblin market, and lo and behold, at the market there is the bag of holding that belongs to Lantix, the wizard character who abandoned us a few sessions ago, filled still with all of our stuff. So there it is. It's just there at the market, and I had still a potion that allowed me to be invisible, but only to goblins. And I was like, well, when else am I going to use this? So I downed the potion, made myself invisible at the market, and that enabled me to then kind of sneak in and take that bag, because technically it was ours anyway. I wasn't stealing, I was just correctly reassigning the ownership. Yeah, that's how we'll call that. At the same time, obviously our new party member was at the market, and he was role-playing that he wanted to buy the bag, and he was arguing with the goblin stall holder, and that's kind of how he got into the party, because he saw that I'd taken it, and then he was saying, hey, I wanted to buy that bag, and of course the goblin can't see me, and so I start having a bit of fun with the goblin as well, and I'm like, can you see me at the moment? And he's like, is that you, God? And I'm like, yes, this is me, it's God. And I do a bit of druid craft to, like make a flower appear on his head, like a little mushroom cap. And I'm like, you have been marked, you're special. And I'm like, well, what can I do to kind of mess this guy around? I was like, ever since Vec the Tool was dethroned as the leader of this place, I've wanted you to be the leader of this market. You should be the leader. And he's like, oh yeah, but that guy over there, he's the leader of the market. I was like, no, it should be you. Your God is telling you this. It's just like, yeah, I should. And so he just immediately goes over to the guy who owns the market and just starts some fisticuffs with him. It's fine. I don't think we're ever going back there again. So it was just a bit of fun. But anyway, meanwhile, of course, we've got this new member in our party. He is a paladin, a second one. That's great. And he is a halfling. That's what he is. The hope being that maybe this time he'll be a bit luckier than the last guy. So yeah, we've got our halfling paladin with us. That's great. And with that in mind, we go. Oh, sorry. And I'm also able to find the spell scroll of knock. I do pay for it legitimately, even though I'm invisible. I put the 200 gold on the table. So we've got the spell scroll of knock. We take that and our new magical party member back to the locked door. And at this point, again, the DM just throwing us bones. I think he felt sorry for us again. Rather than risk us burning through this spell scroll unsuccessfully, he just has Lantix appear in the room. And Lantix will use the spell scroll knock and the door opens. Wonderful. And now, halfway into the session can actually start. And so we end up in a place with lots of... oh, we were able to long rest as well at some point. That was helpful. So we end up in a room beyond. There's lots of doors, but the DM, again, just fast forwarding things a bit, he's like, there's nothing interesting in these two doors. So we investigate the door that's in front of us, and oh, it's got like a carving on the door of like a monster attacking a dwarf. So I'm like, that's suspicious. I do, however, have now, because I've got that bag of holding from Lantix, we've got a wand of secrets, so which will reveal if there is a trap nearby or if there are secrets nearby. I use the wand of secrets, and indeed there is some sort of secret in the room there, but it doesn't show up with a trap on the door, so presumably it points to whatever's closest, the trap or the secret. So I'm like, okay, this door isn't trapped. Kronos, can you please open it for us? And he just opens the door, and on the other side we basically find a room which is filled with sleeping tieflings and bandits, and I investigate where the wand was pointing that the secret is, and I noticed that there is a brick that is slightly protruding from the wall. But just as I'm about to touch the brick, a voice calls out from the darkness, and it is a drow. His name is Rizaril Orindor. And we have a good old chat with him for quite a long time, actually, because basically he tells us that the drow are making moves on this floor. Xanthar's Guild are on this floor. He wants to clear them out. There are two leaders of the Xanthar's Guild on this floor. There is a lady called Nadia the Unbent, and there is a guy whose name is Shun, and they are both like leaders or lieutenants of the Xanthar's Guild living on this floor. But I have a good old chat with him because I'm a bit suspicious of this setup. Like, why would he just recruit these randos that walk in through the door? But basically, the way I said it to him was, and now this is us playing smart. You know, I see you've got some guys here. Are you not strong enough to do this yourself? Like, you've got 20 people here. There's just 3 of us. How are we gonna shift the balance? Why are we able to do this thing that you can't? Unless either it's an incredibly easy thing to do, in which case why haven't you done it yourself? Or it's a death trap. Or our reputation precedes us and you know that we're really, really good. In which case, you know that you wouldn't stand a chance against us in a fight. Do you see the kind of logic that I'm coming to here? It's kind of like, well, why do you need us? Why are you trying to recruit us, kind of thing? And I leaned into the rumor that I heard right back at the very beginning. If you remember, everyone has a rumor that they came with. And my rumor was involving the drow and how they were terrified of one of the apprentices of the Mad Mage, Mural, I think its name is. And I basically say, look, we've already taken out 2 of the Mad Mage's apprentices. Sounds like you're on the run from another one. Is that the reason that you're recruiting us? You know, trying to get to the root cause of things. And it's very interesting because, of course, on hearing Mural, he very quickly is like, he realizes that we are quite sharp and aware of things, and he also tips his hat in our way, because it turns out that he is not believing in the Mad Mage, or he doesn't believe in Mural. It looks like he's slightly corrupted in some way. He says the madness is in the walls. He's a little bit unhinged. He tells us if we do this job for us, we will be friends of the Drow. We will get a token of his house that will allow us to proceed on the next floor. It'd be very useful. I say, next floor. I've got a map of the next floor. Could you please help us with this? I take out the map that we previously got from the naked man that was the prisoner, and we don't ask where it came from. And I just like, look, we got this map. Could you just look at it? Tell us what you think. Is it legit? And he looks it over, and it turns out that there's a couple of mistakes on there, which is very nice. So I make a note of that. And also on there's a place called Skull Point, which is apparently like a pirate town, which is where Xanthar's Guild come from. Very, very cool. So we've got some good information there. And also in this room, there is like a map of this floor that we're on, made of stones. And so I take a little moment to study this map, and I'm basically like, okay, can I see where to go, where we've not been? You know, does it look legit? Yes, it looks legit. It looks like an actual map. Okay, where can we go based on this? Where are the stairs to the next floor? Where's all the different areas? So we're able to kind of map out in our heads from that where everything is, which is great. So we leave that encounter not really knowing if what we should do. It's kind of turned into a pacifist run at this point, because none of us really wants to get into combat, because combat has proven itself to be super, super deadly. We've been in 2 combats so far in this session, and we've lost someone in both of them. So we're playing things really cagey, and we're just like, look, let's not just throw ourselves in with someone. The last time we did that with the vampires, things didn't go so well for us. Let's play things a bit cagey. Let's play things a bit coy. As it happens, to get to the stairs to the next level down, we had to go through an area of territory that was held by this Nadia the Unbent, member of the Xanthar's Guild. So we're going that way anyway. Fine. So we might as well just go that way, see what the deal is, and play things by ear. So we go that direction. Now, as it happens, in the bag of holding, we have a patch of the Xanthar's Guild that we retrieved from one of the goblins on the floor above, way back a few sessions ago. And I remembered this, so I had the bag of holding, so I took it out of the bag and I put it on myself. And thank goodness that we did that, because as we come around the corner into the next section, I'm taking point, there is a zombie beholder in front of us, and the zombie beholder like opens its eyes like flashlights, takes one look at us, sees the badge of the Xanthar's Guild, and then goes back to sleep. So that's one fight we didn't have to do, thank goodness. In the room behind him, we then see that there's like a lot of bandits, bugbears, goblins, and in the middle of the room there is Nadia the Unbent, just having a big old fight. And we watch how that goes. We then announce ourselves, and we play it that we are members of the Xanthar's Guild. And thankfully, because of the badge that we've got, because of the fact that we knew that the Xanthar's Guild come from Skullport, because of the things that we knew as well, like, I'll be honest, right? My charisma, Gorn's charisma is -3 at the moment. It's normally -2. It's additional -1 because he's only just come back from the dead. So He's rolling -3 on any persuasion checks. I don't know why I'm being the face of the party at this point, but I am. So there we go. But luckily for us, everything that we're saying is truthful, because we say to them, look, we've got information about the Xanathar's Guild. What information do you have? Well, we came from the floor above. That's true. And it turns out a lot of the Xanathar's Guild, they have intellect devourers inside them. We fought a few bugbears that suddenly turned on us. And we killed them and they turned into intellect devourers. That's a true fact as well. Playing things really smart here, because even a successful insight check, I don't need to roll a persuasion. It's the truth, right? So we prove ourselves to her. We know a lot about Xanathar's Guild. We've come with some very valuable information. And we also tell her, there are some drow on this floor. And we think that they're trying to move in and take down the Xanathar's Guild. Again, it's true, right? And we say, we can show you to where they are. How about, just an idea, we can lead you there and we'll just have a big old turf battle over territory. She thinks that's a great idea. That's how I win trust with her. She completely trusts me implicitly at this point. In terms of the other two, our new character, what's his name now? Is it Holder? I think it is. Holder. That's our new halfling paladin. He gets into a fight with her to prove his mettle, to prove he's tough. He has a fight and he completely wipes the floor with her. She says, no magic. He says, I promise I won't use any magic. But smite. Jeremy Crawford rules. Smite is not a spell. So there we go. He took her down very quickly. But at this point, she's only on 1 HP because she was knocked down. She's recovered. She's on 1 HP. So we say, maybe we should rest for the evening, regain our hit points, and tomorrow we can go and take on the drow. Okay, she says. So we then go and explore the area a little bit, and we do find the stairs to the next level down. So the DM chimed in and said, look guys, if you just go to the next level, you're not leveling up, you're not at a milestone point, you need to resolve this issue, you can't just run away from it. Okay, we say. So we've already got it set up that these guys are going to attack the drow, and there's going to be a street war tomorrow. Okay, that's great. How can we mix it up though? And our paladin had the great idea. He said, well look, she's only on 1 hit point. And she trusts us completely. So we go to her as she's kind of settling down for the evening. We just tell her, there's something else. We just found something terrible. We found the stairs to the next level down. There's something you've really got to see. It's terrible. You've really got to come with us. She comes with us. And we jump her. And we cut her head off. And the DM at this point is like, I'm not sure I get where this is going. Weren't you just going to go with her and attack the drow? And we're like, oh yeah, that was the plan. But now we take that head, we put it inside the bag of holding, and now we're going to go back to the drow. And we go back to the drow, and we say to him, look, here's the head that you asked for. 1 token, please. So like I said at the beginning, incredibly stupid session. We had 2 deaths. We were going round in circles. We couldn't get past a door because it was magical and we just kept hitting it and none of us could do magic. And we were just stuck in this endless loop. And we were trying to do all sorts of things. We went to a market, told the guy he was talking to God. It was insane. It was crazy. We were like rolling on the floor with laughter. Like literally, it was insane. But then that back half, ever since we encountered the drow, like we were on our A game. It was like pacifist run. We did kill someone, but pacifist run. Let's go. Playing things super coy, really clever, telling the truth, like telling lies, but with the truth. Ain't no role for that, baby. That's not persuasion. That's not deception. That's just the plain old truth. You know, do an insight check on me. See if I'm telling the truth or not. I'm telling the truth. I don't need to have to beat your insight. I'm telling the truth. Love it, right? So that is where we are. We ended things. As I said, we just got back to the drow, pulled the head out of the bag of holding, and then basically he was like, right, well, now you need to go get the other one, Shun. And we ended things with the final stupid play of the day, because you might recall inside this bag of holding there is somebody else's head. Whose head, you might ask? It's the head of the vampire lady that was killed on the floor above. I was like, this guy doesn't know what Shun looks like. It's just some rando from the Xanathar's Guild. We've got two heads here. One of them is Nadia the Unbent. The other one will just kind of bruise it up a bit, cut it up a bit. This is Shun! Little did we know, Shun was actually this guy's cousin. And so he just outright says, that's not Shun. And I say, yeah, yeah, it is. All this time, he's really been this woman, and he's had a disguise self spell cast on him. And that's where we ended things. So that's gonna be a fun start to the next session. But yeah, so stupid, and yet so clever. And God, this campaign is just, it takes it out of you emotionally. It just puts you through the ringer, man. But like, in the weirdest way. Yeah, the DM has asked that we do actually come up with proper backstories, so I think probably the next video you see from me is going to be that, because I'm going to try and do it properly. So you're going to see a nice backstory for Gorn, which you know a lot of anyway if you've been watching these videos, but you'll get the full thing. And yeah, so like I say, the only things that were kind of annoying about the campaign, about the actual session, the only things that frustrated me when we encountered the drow. And again, it goes back to the same complaints that I had in the floor above. With where are all the toilets? How did they get their food? All of this stuff. We just walk into this room, which is unguarded. The room is unlocked. It's just down the road from the Xanathar's Guild, which presumably they would have had to pass those Xanathar's Guild in order to get here in the first place, because that Deadeye outpost is between the stairs and where we are. So they had to pass that. So they know that the Xanathar's Guild are there, and yet despite this fact, they had no guards on duty, they had no locked door, they had nothing protecting them whatsoever, and everybody was inside just asleep on the floor. It's those sorts of like moments that, and I know it's not the DM's fault, I'm pretty sure that's how it's written in the book. It's stupid. There you go, there's the other stupid moment of the campaign. Logically, that is stupid. You're fighting a turf war here. Where are your sentries? Where are your like guards on patrol? Lock the doors, put traps in the way. Like it's the exact same complaint I had on the floor above, and no doubt it's going to be a repeating complaint throughout, because whoever wrote this module clearly doesn't think about dungeons in the same way that I do. And that's a frustration for me. But again, it's a really, really minor point on an otherwise excellent session. And yeah, I think last session was the best session of D&D I've ever played in my life. This session was not on that level, but it was A tier. It was good. And next session we finally get Bolene back as well. So I'm really looking forward to that, because Gorn has got some things to say to her.